Let's go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's webinar. I've got great pleasure of having Sukh joining us this morning. Sukh's head of SEO at Anicca, and he's going to be talking about keyword research to attract your ideal customer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a couple of polls, and we do this every week because it allows us to have a bit of an introduction, find out what level everybody's at, and also gives time for a few more people to arrive into the presentation. At the moment, there's 42 people joined, but I'm expecting that to go up in the next few minutes while we do the polls. So what's going to happen is I'm going to launch the polls. Both of the polls today, you can actually answer more than once. So what I'll do is I'll read the question and then read the answers out, because when we get the recording, it doesn't actually show on the recording. So we want everybody that watches this to at least know what we were talking about. So you should see the first poll on the screen. So can you see it? Can you see the poll?
Yeah.
Excellent. So why do you want to find out more about keyword research? And there's 6 answers. I'm new to digital marketing and keyword research, so I'm trying to find out more. I am familiar with some keyword tools, but I want some new ideas. I want to improve my blogs and content for my website for SEO. I want to improve my press releases for PR. I want to try new alternative tools for PPC and Google Ads, which seems to be quite popular. I want to research new products or content ideas, etc. So if you're using keyword research for anything else, you can put that one in. So the most popular answer at the moment, actually it's pretty split between being brand new to keyword research, about a third of you are clicking on that, and the next one is wanting to improve blogs and content for your website. So that's the next popular. There's a few people there, about 20% of you, that have used some tools before and you're just looking for some new ideas, and that's both for SEO and for Google Ads as well. So it's quite a mixed audience this morning. So carry on responding. Cool. If you've got anything else you want to add, and then we'll bring in the next poll. So the next poll has got a little bit more choice, because this is about what you're actually doing. So hopefully you can see that on the screen, Sukh.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you used any free or paid tools for keyword research? And if so, which ones? So again, no, I'm just learning or starting my research. Yes, but only 3 tools. So click one of those 2. And then what I would like you to do is tell me what you're actually doing, or tell us what you're actually doing. So yes, I use a mix of free and paid tools. And then the actual tools. So free Google tools, which includes things like Search Console, Trends, Keyword Planner. The free Bing tool, that's the free Bing Keyword Planner. Some free Chrome plugins. So we're going to tell you about Keyword Everywhere today, but there's a few others out there as well. Other 3 tools like Answer the Public, Uber Suggests. Paid tools for SEO. So this is where you actually buy a tool, and you might use it for rank check-in, but it usually has a sort of a keyword checker in there. So we use SEO Monitor, but it might be SEMrush, Moz, etc. And then 3 tools for paid tools for PPC. So again, SEMrush, SpyFu, etc. So a third of you aren't using any tools at all. So obviously you've got lots to learn. And then of the people that are using tools, 11% are only using free tools, and about 12% are using a bit of a mix. So the most popular ones are the Google tools, which we sort of expected. So about 20% of you are using things like the Keyword Planner, Search Console, Trends. And that's one of the reasons we're not focused on that one today. But we are pleased to tell you there was an update literally last night coming in from America. So we've got a slide on that for you. And then a few of you are using SEO tools like Moz and SEMrush and SEO Monitor. So quite a lot of you aren't really using any of the paid tools. And some of the other ones which we thought you might be using, some of the other free ones you're not using either. So hopefully that means you've got lots of new stuff to try. So I think without further ado, we're ready to get going. Hopefully everybody can hear us. And just to let you know, you will get the video later on. So you will be able to, you'll get that later on this afternoon, come through to your inbox. So I'm going to shut my mic down and pass over to Sukh. So over to you, Sukh.
Thanks, Anne. Just I'll try and maximize this slide thing here. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for coming, guys. If you joined my webinar 3 weeks ago, I want to say, or 4 weeks ago, I kind of touched on keyword research because I was talking about quick SEO wins in general. And I mentioned keyword research in there and a few of the tools that I'm going to expand on today. So I literally just want to expand on the methodology behind that and relate it to some kind of examples with lead generation and e-commerce, just to kind of touch all areas and you know, it's easy for you guys to relate to in your day-to-day jobs, whether you're doing content marketing or you're just new to digital marketing overall. So the kind of topics I'm going to touch on today are, well, a quick slide about me, SEO basics, and then within keyword research, I'll do a little bit of background on, you know, the types of keywords, how to consider your audience and their search intents, and then go into the kind of 4 steps that I'll kind of distill this to. That's hopefully kind of a bit more easier to kind of follow in that, on how to go about doing keyword research. So let me just go on to the next slide. Keep this one brief. So yeah, I head up the SEO department at Anicca. I've been at Anicca for coming up to 6 years in July now, I think. It might be 6 years this month. So basically, yeah, I've worked in-house and at agencies doing SEO. I started as a web developer, so that gives me a bit of a perspective on tech SEO when I do a lot of tech audits. I work on a lot of tech SEO projects and website launches, international SEO. I've been doing that for quite a while. And then lead generation, e-commerce projects across the board. And I work on creating strategies with my colleagues in the SEO department too. So a kind of broad range of projects that I work on, but I guess I focus mostly on the technical aspect. Yeah, and I'm obsessed with Fitbit and Strava at the moment, which is helpful during lockdown. And I'm pretty annoying about it on Instagram. So just briefly, these are some of the clients that we work with. We've been fortunate to work with. Some of the brands you recognize, some of them you might not. So they're kind of a range of e-commerce, lead gen, big and small, international and UK based, technical content, digital PR, really across the board. So we're pretty fortunate to work with them. And I'll just go to the next slide. Yeah, cool. Okay, so I usually kind of frame everything I'm talking about with just basically talking about the SEO basics and how it all fits within SEO overall. So let me just get rid of that. Cool. So starting from the start, so SEO can be broken down into these 3 areas. So you've got the technical SEO side, on-page and off-page SEO. So technical SEO basically focuses on getting your content shown and indexed within Google and basically put in front of users when they search for a keyword. So typical tech SEO things I might look at are things like page load speed, because Google sees this as a ranking factor. If the web page loads quite slowly, if it does load slow, it makes a decision on whether to rank you amongst your competitors or not. So there's quite a few technical ranking factors like that, like how well does it display on mobile versus desktop, and you know, is your content duplicated? Is there anything else that's stopping it from getting indexed? Because if you think about producing some really great content on your website, one of those issues can stop it from being indexed and put in front of users altogether. So this is usually the first thing we look at when we start an SEO campaign, doing a tech audit. And then the other side of it is on-page SEO. So that involves basically, and you content writers are obviously familiar with this, are producing content that is engaging and really fleshes out a topic to kind of convince a user to make some kind of conversion, whether it's sending an email or purchasing something or just sharing a blog, for example. So we basically work towards producing that high value content to encourage a conversion, but also the step before that is basically attracting organic traffic to that content, whether it's a landing page talking about a topic that is a keyword we're optimizing, or more broadly kind of talking about a group of topics within a blog section that we're trying to build up as a topic area to rank on. Sorry, I'm just trying to disable my chat here. This looks like a busy Friday morning. So on-page SEO, this is, we can make the most impact in this because you don't need a developer to kind of produce, publish content on a website, especially if you've got a content management system like WordPress. So you can upload content quite easily and optimize it. And you've got plugins to help you kind of add in special features as well, like tables and rich media. And SEO plugins can help you gauge how well you optimize the pages as well. So this is what I tend to focus on the most when I talk about quick wins with SEO, like you would have seen in my last presentation. And then off-page SEO is basically trying to encourage people to engage with the content by pointing back to those landing pages and blogs with the backlinks. So that's going to help with the ongoing SEO and build the rankings of the keywords you're optimizing. And we leverage our landing page and kind of supporting content to encourage people to, by earning links, put link earning. We also do link building as well, and we use digital PR to help link building process as well. So that's the kind of overall. Next slide. I use my mouse for this. Yeah. So before I go into keyword research, another slide I wanted to go over was related to an algorithm update that occurred in early May the 4th to be precise. So this update is called a broad core algorithm update. So what it essentially is Google looks at all of the different ranking factors that it suggests we pay attention to, like fast loading web pages, mobile versus desktop, duplicate content, how authoritative is your content. Can't really think of anything else. There's about 200 plus ranking factors that it considers. So it doesn't give you a specific area to look at if you notice your rankings may have dropped or even climbed after this update. But what it does give you is a list of guidelines to kind of weigh your website against. So some examples of these questions it asks is the website trustworthy and secure? So a lot of these questions sound quite broad, but they can be kind of drilled down into areas like trustworthy and secure. So is your website, does it have a padlock at the top in the address bar? Does it have a HTTPS before the domain? Because that means that the website is secure, and browsers like Chrome trust it and display it to users. Trustworthy, so have you built up enough authority of unique content around a topic, particularly medical websites selling medical related stuff, medicine, all that? Are you an authority on this? Do you have original content? Do you have doctors that have linked to profiles, for example, to see that you're a trustworthy person? So there's a whole list of these, how well does it display on desktop and devices and mobile and stuff. So Google recommends that you basically go through a checklist, which I'll put a link to, and just see how authoritative is your website and how well it is for the user experience. And there is a tool that you can use to quickly check if you are hit by any kind of algorithm, and it's called Penguin. It's from a company called Barracuda, and it's literally, you can open it in your browser. It links to your Google Analytics, and it enables you to basically overlay all the algorithm updates that have happened to date versus your organic traffic. So you can quickly see, looking at a line that shows an algo update, if you've gone up or down. And that's usually a good starting point to investigate, have I been hit and what do I need to do to recover? And that's just an example of the impact the last update had on a couple of websites that we're working on. So one of them went down in overall rankings, and one of them went up. So this is the point where we kind of investigate, what is it that we need to improve on this website? In this particular example, it was content and a backlog of content that wasn't published yet. And this content was well optimized, talking about topics that we weren't really optimizing that well versus competitors. So from this point, we can this is a good thing to show, particularly if you're working with different stakeholders who need a bit more convincing of the importance of content, to show them, if content climbed after publishing a load of optimized content, you say, yeah, this works. And then if it went down, you say, hey guys, we need to do something about this. So I'm just going to go into keyword research now. So I'm going to start with going into the different types of keywords. So a lot of you, I know, judging by the polls, are quite familiar with some form of keyword research, whether it's for SEO or PPC. A lot of you will be familiar then with the different types of keywords. I'll kind of just go into a bit. So you've got short tail keywords and long tail keywords. So the short tail keywords, for example, you could have keyword like sofas, are super broad. And because they're super broad, they can be really competitive. The good thing about short tail keywords is they have loads of search volume. So that means a huge amount of people are searching for them each month. That's an estimated figure we get from Google Ads. So they're really good to incorporate in your campaigns, but because they're super competitive, it isn't advised to just focus on short tail keywords. This is where long tail keywords come in, because they are obviously longer in terms of phrases, and they're quite commonly kind of questions, like literally questions that people might ask. Like think of voice search, for example, like a typical long query question. Those are kind of what long tail keywords can be. They're less competitive, but more specific. So they're really good because particularly if you're a niche industry, you can kind of qualify users by optimizing long tail keywords. And then those people are qualified when they hit the site. So you're kind of helping yourselves out during your lead generation process, for example, by just having the qualified people land on the site in the first place with specific keyword optimization of long tail phrases. Yeah, they're less competitive, so that helps quite a lot to rank. And I think that's a cue from Anne for me to. Oh, does that automatically go? Cheers, Anne. Yeah, I'm just around the slides here. So here's some kind of breakdown of the long tail versus short tail. So short tail keywords are vague. They are harder to rank because they're super competitive, harder to convert as well because the search intent's quite broad and you've got to kind of do a bit of qualifying. Search volume is super high, which is good. Easier to research because they're broad and easy to think up. Typically make up about 30% of your traffic. And the content, in theory, you require a smaller amount of content to optimize short tail keywords. So long tail keywords are specific, easier to rank, easier to convert because you've kind of done a bit of qualifying when they've hit the site. They've got lower individual search volumes, but when grouped together, the collective search volume can be quite high as short tail keywords. Harder to research, and typically make up about 70% of your total traffic. So you can kind of see that if you go into Search Console and see what kind of keywords people are using to get to you, and you'll notice a lot of them quite longer terms. Content-wise, you need to really build out kind of content hubs to optimize these because they're quite long and specific. And we'll go into that optimization side into another seminar. But that's typically the breakdown of the two. And it'd be helpful to show you examples on that as well. So short tail keywords, for example, skiing, ski holidays, snowboards. And then long tail, this really breaks down kind of search intent as well. Best time to visit Whistler, self-drive ski holidays, best snowboards, etc. So these are almost, you can visualize blog posts and kind of blog topics that optimize these in depth and then link back to landing pages for the lead gen aspect. Oh, I want to book this or I want to buy this product. So breaking down keywords now by search intent. So search intent is really important to consider at the start of the research process because it can help steer you towards the correct keywords and save you kind of wasting time researching a broad range of keywords. And as I said before, like the qualification process, it'll help you quite a lot qualify users going to your site. So we start off with navigational keywords, which are basically keywords where people are just looking to go to a specific web page or a website, even if they combine that with a brand term. So, for example, Whistler ski holidays, snowboard holidays, France. It's pretty straightforward. So the intent is, I know I want to go to a specific place for this. So with those kind of keywords, you need to make sure those landing pages are properly optimized for these so that you can basically match that intent to what they land on. Otherwise, you'll see high bounce rates and low engagement. Informational searches. So these are pretty useful as well. They make up the largest amount of keywords that go to your site, as I mentioned earlier. And relating all of these search intents back to the buying cycle, this happens quite earlier on in the buying cycle, called the awareness stage, where people are trying to do a bit of research and find out what is a service or product about, specifically if it's a niche topic that people need educating on. They're harder to convert into sales. So if you think about a question people ask and they go on a blog post instead, you answer that question, and then you're attempting at that point to kind of convert them and drive them back to, say, a lead gen page or a e-commerce page, for example. That's the kind of work you have to do to kind of funnel people back into making some kind of action. And so they are pretty harder to convert because they're informational. And those are the examples there of questions people might ask. And then transactional. But these are obvious and pretty straightforward. And within the buying cycle, they're towards the latter stage where they're ready to make a purchase or some kind of decision, an action. And so, for example, I want to book a holiday or want to buy a certain brand of snowboard. People know exactly what they want, and they happen at the last stage. Yeah, there's nothing else. I was going to say something else on that. And then I was referring to the buying cycle. And this is a visual of that. So it's a pretty straightforward and simplified version of the buying cycle, where you've got kind of the awareness stage. You're aware of what the brand or the service you want to purchase, and then you research that, and then you've got the comparison, conversion, and retention stage. So within that, you can see informational keyword searches are around the research and comparison stage. Navigational applies to all of the different stages, really, and transactional is more towards the end, where you kind of made a decision on what you're going to do on the website.
I'm just putting putting this in reference to, or comparing it with PPC and Google Ads. What you tend to find is that those transactional key phrases where people are actually going to be buying are generally really expensive in PPC because they're much more likely to convert. So what happens in a PPC campaign, you have those sort of generic or non-specific key phrases which are a lot cheaper, and then you then have a more of a converting. So it's sort of like a prospecting and a converting campaign. Now the problem is that even in some sectors they can be really expensive. So if you can do that using SEO and great content, those content pages can work for both PPC and SEO. So they're great for being found organically, but they could make a good landing page as well. So even though we're mainly talking about SEO content today, some of this does apply to PPC as well.
Yeah, and we do kind of try to join up, if you've got a multi-channel project, those two kind of aspects. Like, for example, SEO pages can always do with being more like PPC landing pages because they're built for conversions, and we can take a lot of UX cues from that aspect as well. And then obviously we do the collective keyword research if we've got multi-channel. So whoever starts it first, hey, PPC guy, these are keywords I found, what keywords have you found, etc. So yeah, they do work kind of closely together. And then still looking at the types of keywords. Sorry, I keep getting an overlay on my slide thing. I need to disable my mouse or something. Yeah, so looking at different types of keywords then. I also look at keywords in terms of the connection between the topics and the different types of keyword that could refer to the same thing. So this is kind of referred to also as LSI keywords, or latent semantic indexing, which is basically a concept that Google uses within its algorithm to basically connect the dots between all the different types of ways people can search keywords versus the topic that they are all referring to. So, for example, if you're searching for who is Barack Obama's wife, the response will be Michelle Obama. So there's some obvious examples you can use. And for example, as well, if you're looking for lounge furniture or living room seating, they're all refer to the top level topic of sofas. So that's an example of using latent semantic indexing, or LSI keywords, within your research. So it's thinking a bit more broadly on what are the different ways people refer to this topic that I'm trying to push. And it goes back to the search intent, even navigational keywords, and then short tail, long tail. So all these different factors when you drill it down, it's basically what am I trying to push, and how many different ways will people try and search for this keyword. So you can use exact match keywords, use different variations, like for example with sofas, you've got leather sofas, settee, etc., which is kind of an old phrase, I guess, and then dig a bit deeper into latent semantic indexing. So it's just basically consider these different ways people are searching. So another key aspect at the start of the research stage is basically thinking about audiences and their personas. So it's you can really go deep into this and have a data-driven audience research piece done, where you're using to some extent Google Analytics, and then maybe LinkedIn, AdWords, Facebook, etc. Anne's a bit more familiar with this, and I might suggest doing a separate thing just on audience stuff. But you can do some real data-driven research to basically build out personas. If you're not too sure what kind of people need to reach the website and purchase. But I think most of you know roughly, who your customers are, a bit of demographic data. So here I've got a couple of examples here of age ranges, and using that ski holiday example still, one person might look for search for ski range with aerial, so it's like a technical search. So you've got a technical persona, someone who knows the topic, and you've got someone who doesn't really know the topic that well, and it's looking for ski resort for beginners and stag weekend ski holiday. So it's just basically thinking about the different type of people that are going to search for you and just catering for all of them. And then, as I said, you don't really need a data-driven, detailed research piece, really. But if you do a data-driven research piece, it can help you when producing content later on. So you've done all your keyword research and you know what keywords you need to target. You've optimized landing pages. The next stage usually in SEO then is producing content on an ongoing basis for use with like link building, PR, social media, etc., to draw attention to your services and build out topic pieces. So with that, you need to know who your audience is, who you're writing for. Otherwise, all that great work is going to go to waste because it's not really targeting anyone specifically. And so when they land on the page, there's not real action that they're gonna pursue. So in that sense, it's really good to do an audience research piece.
And I understand that at the end of the month, you're going to take the keyword research and do a webinar and actually show how you create a page plan and actually the elements of actually writing some content as well. So perhaps we could include a little bit on the personas within that webinar as well, maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna plan for that. I don't know the exact date, but I'm gonna definitely rope someone else in to help me out with that, with the prep. We're getting quite busy, but that's definitely the next stage. Yeah, because I'd love to show that stage of it because it's really important to connect the dots. And then consider search intent as well, like I mentioned before. So I did a really niche example that I was working on, and I think it might be too niche, but I'll try it anyway. So thinking about search intent, I had a really niche content piece I was researching with my colleague recently, and it goes, how fast do serialization printing methods help production lines during COVID-19? So it's basically a company that sells industrial kind of massive printers that you print on basically everything, electronics, food, whatever. And so I was trying to distill this into what kind of people would search for this. I need a bit of a roadmap to do research here. And so I thought about, okay, again, you got a technical person. So maybe a technical person who knows exactly what spec they want. So they will search for quick production line printers, low downtime. So it's constantly printing. And then you got general people searching for the effect of COVID-19 on the manufacturing industry. So that's a broader kind of approach to that content piece. So keywords will be COVID-19 and manufacturing industry. So this is a more broader approach, I said, but because the topic's super niche and the blog is super niche, I want to raise awareness for this particular content piece in general and get people to share it around. So it's worth it being a bit broader, talking about the whole industry, and then also catering for the specific searches, looking for, these are the printers that will help me with during this period. It's got low downtime. I've got lower staff numbers, but because this printer is super efficient and this is something I want to go for. So I'm kind of breaking down in that example. I don't know if I've done that too well, but kind of the search intent and my thought process on approaching keyword research. So that's a really good consideration. It can save you shed loads of time during the research process by basically having a roadmap, what keywords to look for. So I'm just going to go into the first step of the keyword research bit then. So I'm basically, all those previous slides, I'm basically trying to distill that into some kind of brief for myself. So what I'm trying to think is, what do I need to achieve with this? So that could be basically a KPI, like I need to sell X amount of units and make X amount of money within 6 months or 12 months. Or it could be something simple like I need to drive more traffic to a certain landing page. So in this example now, I've used about 3 examples in this deck. Where it's basically 4K TVs. So I need to drive more traffic to this page. So with that objective, I've figured, okay, so I need to explore all the subtopics around 4K LED TVs, like those are my kind of search intents and topic breakdowns, and then optimize that landing page. The other objective I've got here as an example, Samsung 50-inch TVs make more money. So the natural thing is put emphasis in the research on that specific subtopic. So if this was an actual campaign, I'd make a note of that in an Excel doc or a Word doc. Say, right, special consideration on these types of products in my research. I need to sell, so that's the KPI example, sell X amount of units. So there's a bit of a time constraint with that KPI there. So what I'm thinking then is the action is I need to put optimization live within 1 month of now, so that within 5 months after that, it stands a chance of getting ranked well within Google. And then I need to find less competitive long tail keywords to help me rank faster, because you remember they are less competitive. Collectively, they can make up a decent search volume as well, and the search intent is good. So I could probably even steer people towards that 50-inch TV topic as well. And then audience, trying to speed up a bit. Audience search intent, I do my little research piece on audience, or I just think about, based on knowledge I know, who am I targeting, and I make a note of that. And then I make a note of the different search intents. Do I need to drive people again to that first example, that landing page, make sales, or drive leads to a lead gen page, etc. So I'll make a note of all of this in my little brief document, and then I keep referring back to this during the research stages. So like with any of these marketing tasks, we're trying to work smarter rather than harder first. So trying to make things easier for ourselves. So imagine you've got your brief, you know what you're looking for. So the easiest thing to do now is kind of leverage tools to find keywords first and just exhaust them. So I'm going to go through a few of these tools. Most of them are free. And I'll start with Bing Search Performance Report. So I think Bing Webmaster Tools, which is a platform of free tools of website diagnostics and keyword research data, is pretty overlooked, because obviously Bing as a search engine might be a bit overlooked as well. But, side note, it is growing in market share year on year, particularly North America, which is quite big. So the data it has is pretty impressive. And there's a report in there called the Search Performance Report, which basically lists all the keywords you're appearing for. There's an exact same report in Google as well. And it's worth looking at this report and picking out relevant keywords and downloading these into a CSV. So with all these tools that I look at, I'm going to suggest basically downloading all your ideas into a CSV, and then you collate them later on into a massive Excel that you'll then qualify. So in this example, you can basically download this list of keywords that your website is appearing for specifically. So it's just based on your brand and your website, and then refer to them later on. And I've made use of this tool quite a lot. It's pretty useful. And then keeping with Bing again, there's a keyword research tool as well, which is in beta mode. It was released a few weeks ago, I believe, and it's pretty useful. So again, it is using your website's data and its relation to competitors in search, but it allows you to search for a head term, which is basically a short tail keyword, to kind of encourage like all the different related keywords to that. So in that example, searching for printers, and then it basically shows all the keywords related to that term. And again, it lets you download it into an Excel. And this is how that keyword research tool breaks down the ideas that it returns to you. So it shows you related keywords, which is pretty straightforward, but that refers back to the LSI keyword variations I mentioned earlier. So you can find ideas relating to that top level topic and find, oh, these are the different ways people are searching for this. And then it also shows you specific questions. So when I mention long tail keywords and questions, a large proportion of searches are these types of keywords. And these question keywords are really helpful because they help you appear for position 0 results. So those are the results that are basically right at the top of everything in a white box, and it's basically a question. So what is an LED TV or something else? And it's basically the first thing you see, and and they are also voice search results as well. So that kind of research is really useful for that kind of result. And then newly discovered keywords within this tool, all it means is keywords that the tool found that are related to your brand within the last 30 days. So that can be helpful for seasonality. Basically, a topic that is popping off right now, you want to find related keywords to that. I've added a few of these slides in throughout the slide deck because it's just a reminder when you're doing this live, just to kind of save all your ideas into a master sheet. So it's a bit of a technical thing. You can do it however you want to. If you've got a paid SEO tool, you won't need to do this at all. You can just create a research group within SEO Monitor, which is what we use. And you basically add your keywords to that. But if you're not using the tool specifically, you can use Excel and just keep adding to your Excel sheet for later on when you validate all of those. So another good plugin that I use every other day is Keywords Everywhere. So again, it's free, and you basically sign up for it. It emails you an API code. You put it into the plugin, and then whenever you perform a search in Google, it basically lists all of the suggestions of related keyword ideas on the right side of the browser. So this is data that's already within the results, but you have to kind of scroll down a bit to find it usually. But this tool basically lists it all for you. It even shows you search volumes, which doesn't show in that example, and it gives you the option to export it onto a CSV again. So it's super helpful, really quick. This is one of the first tools I use when kind of my initial research stage.
And I definitely, it only works in Chrome, doesn't it, Sukh?
Yeah, I haven't found a Firefox or anything.
Yeah, I definitely recommend you have more than one browser. So if you've got more than one username, have it in one, not both of them, because when you are trying to do other things in Google and you don't want to see it, it can be annoying. So
yeah.
So I always have it in my sort of research account rather than my main Anicca account, because if I want to do a screenshot or something of what's going on in Google, I don't want this here. So definitely have two browsers, one with it in and one with it out. And as I said, it's a Chrome plugin that you need there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I keep it turned off most of the time as well, so you can even click at the top and turn off. I tried to download all these plugins that have an option to turn off without having to go into your Chrome settings and blah 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 and disable it. So that kind of helps as well. But yeah, that's a good shout. I need to do a research thing as well. I've used some random examples here. Searching for pug capes by online. Surprisingly, that was a thing. So I might be working on that theme for the rest of the slides. Google Search Console, a lot of you will be familiar with this. So again, really, really useful data. So you can go into search results report, and then it will basically show what keywords you are appearing for and the clicks, impressions, click-through rate, and average position within a certain time period you set in the report. Again, this is my first port of call as well. I want specific keywords that this website is appearing for to figure out the different kind of search intents and what kind of keywords we don't want to be appearing for. So if you think about a lead gen example, there's a lot of qualifying that goes after someone submits an email. So I'm trying to help out as much as possible by weeding out the irrelevant, sounds bad, but irrelevant users landing on these pages, because they'll either bounce off because the content's not related to their search, or the content's not good enough to inform them. They'll send an inquiry thinking that's a service they are interested in, but that's not the right service for them to find out afterwards. So qualification, this kind of stuff helps a lot, and that last Bing report as well. The Suggest, so this is another browser tool. It's not a plugin, but it's a website by Neil Patel. really well-established SEO person who's got a lot of insight into keyword research too. This tool is pretty popular. And again, it's just an ideation kind of tool. So you put in your head term, top level keyword, and then it lists related keywords. And you can even kind of qualify them before you export them. So you can look at kind of what the average search volume is. So this is good because it gives you kind of rough search volume estimates of them keywords for a particular region. And there are other things like CPC as well, cost per click. So if it's a high cost per click, it kind of gives you an idea of how competitive the term is. And then another tool which is really good, particularly for content ideation, is Answer the Public. So this kind of, again, you put in a top level topic or keyword, and then it gives you all the different ideas and related topics and subtopics in a cool visualization. You can have a normal kind of text table layout version as well of that. And the good thing about this is, it can help the SEO researcher kind of with the research stage, and also with your colleagues that are going to produce the content afterwards. You can refer back to this research and say, these are all the different subtopics that I found for this keyword. So if it's hard to optimize for this top level keyword, here are all the related keywords that you can optimize instead. So it makes life easier to optimize pages for a content writer as well, to list all those different variations that will basically make the content read a bit more human, if you know what I mean. So you can export all of those in CSV as well and add them to your main idea sheet. And Google Trends. This has quite a lot of uses, and I'm just using it for keyword research, but really, obviously, seasonality that you can use this for as well. What kind of topics do I need to be optimizing for a particular industry? So it's really a bridge between SEO and content writing and PR, etc. For SEO, it's super helpful as well. So I can see what kind of keywords are really popular at the moment. For example, back to school is coming up. And so we need to do some research on that for a client. So we've used this tool to do that for any keywords we might have missed. And again, it lets you export ideas as well. So that's really good. Next slide. Yeah, cool. And Anne mentioned earlier, there was a recent upgrade to the Google Ads Keyword Planner. So there's quite a few points on this as well. So it looks like there's quite a lot of data that it's given us. So I'm just going to read this off. So you can basically...
Do you want me to help on this one?
Wicked,
okay, so a lot of you have probably got a Google Ads or an old AdWords account kicking around. So if you go into that, you'll be able to use the tool without paying. But if you've never ever done Google Ads before, then it will cost you, I think it's $5 to open a new account. Now, when you start, one of the things that you need to be aware of is that Google's gone very much down the automation route. So there's two choices, and if you effectively open your account in the smart mode, automatic mode, you don't get access to this data. So you have to revert or go in as an expert in order to get access to the keyword planner. And then once you're in the keyword tool, or sorry, in the Google Ads tool, this is the menus, and you'll see at the top you've got tools and settings, and this opens up, and then the keyword planner is in the section on the left hand side. Now, what's happened in this screen, this is the new tool that was announced yesterday, is somebody's just typed in the word dry skin. Now, generally, when I use the tool, and I use this pretty regularly for my research, I'll put in about 8 ideas. So, you know, it will be something like dry skin, products for dry skin, cosmetics for dry skin moisturizer, etc. So it gives Google a little bit more clue about the topic. And then what it does is it provides results based on what you typed in, and then suggested ideas. And you'll usually get somewhere between 500 and 1,000 ideas. And what they've done, which is the new update, is they've given you some extra choices, a bit like you can see in the image search. So you can choose a specific topic. And they've also given you a load of filters on the right hand side. So you've got things like moisturizer in there that you can just tick as well. So it just gives you a lot more control over what you're doing. Now, the only thing I really recommend that you do, which you may not be aware of, is you check the location. which is up here on the left-hand side. So you can see in this example, the location is set for United States. Now, when we're doing our research, we always set it to UK. And the reason that is although I might be selling, you know, a business or a service just in Leicester or Leicestershire, where we're based, if I was looking for terms relating to plumber in Leicester, the volumes are going to be so small that I'm just not going to get as good a suggestion. So although I'm only interested in Leicester or Leicestershire, what I'll probably do is I'll choose UK when I'm doing my research. And then if I want to then find out all the key phrases, I can always go in later on and edit it for the local area and get a better idea of the volumes. But when you're using it for research purposes, you need a big enough sample. So I recommend the UK. But it's relatively easy to use. There's a lot of videos around. And I do think the new additions to the filters will make it a lot easier. You can also add negatives as well. Most of the research is done what we mean by broad match. So in the example that Sukh used earlier on, if you enter the word leather sofa and it's broad match, it will include things like red leather sofa or large leather sofa. So we tend to do this in phrase match or exact match, which is sort of a Google Ads or a PPC terminology, which means that you're narrowing it down a little bit and you're not getting all the variations. So you've got a better idea of exactly how many searches there are for that particular key phrase. Hopefully that was helpful, Sukh.
Yeah.
I mean, this is probably the tool that most of you said you'd used before. But if you're a newbie, you know, it's definitely worth it. And a lot of other tools actually plug into the API and get their data from here. So some of the tools that Sukh's going to show you, you know, the original data is pulled in from this.
Yeah, this is right to the source. Yeah, this is really useful. I'm emailed this around to the SEO team straight away. And it helps me because I've got international clients, so I can obviously switch over quite easily to different regions as well. All them filters are super, yeah, something I need to dig into. So it's highly recommended, guys. And I was just answering a question by Martin Robertson at the same time, but I didn't click on answer. I just added another question. So that new question is actually your answer, Martin. So I hope that helps. So yeah, so next
what was
slide.
Martin's question? Oh yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I just looked at the time as well, so I was going to answer it, but I was, yeah. Yeah, so a lot of those tie into that tool. Ahrefs, which is a paid tool, primarily, I guess, is used for backlink data. So it has a massive database or index of all the websites online and all the different backlinks that are pointing to them and pointing from them to your site. So you basically plug in your website into Ahrefs and it tells you all your backlink data. But it's also got some cool content reports as well. So this one is a tool on Keyword Explorer. So you basically, again, type in a topic and it gives you all the related keywords to that. And then you can basically have a look at search volumes, which I believe is pulling from Google Ads, estimate of cost per click, and the amount of clicks that it'll get on estimate based on its ranking position. And you can basically export all of these as well into your massive idea list. I use this quite a lot as well because we have the paid subscription. So if you can get one of those, if you've not got this tool already, I'd recommend this report. Save your ideas again religiously. Now I'm looking at competitors as well within the research stage. So we've sifted through quite a lot of tools, and I'm sure there's quite a lot more that I haven't mentioned. But once you're done with those, it's good to look at your specific competitors and what they're doing for SEO. So a simple bit of research you can do is basically search for the keyword you're targeting and basically see what search results appear ahead of yours and basically snoop around their website. And so you can have a look at, if you see what headings they're optimizing and their meta descriptions and title tags, which I've shown an example of using a Chrome plugin, that when you click on it, it shows you what is their title tag, what is their meta description, even the heading tags in this specific plugin I've added a link to. Gives you a broad idea of what kind of keywords are they pushing, because those are the tags that people would typically optimize with keywords. So You can visually do that by just looking at the content and their menu setup, or kind of how I look at those tags that I mentioned in the plugin, and just get an idea of what kind of keywords and related keywords people are searching for. So in this example, which I was surprised that was quite extensive, dog jumpers. So you've got an idea of all the different subtopics on the submenu there below that bit of text at the top. So that's a quick indicator of, oh, these are good keyword ideas that I'm going to add to my list. And this is something that they're probably pushing quite a lot. Keeping on competitor insight then, I'm using a paid tool called SEO Monitor, which tracks a list of keywords that you want to optimize for, but it also tracks those keywords against a list of competitors that you want to pull ahead of in search. So in this example, I've listed some competitors related to a topic, blurred out the client on there. And basically it tracks them month by month, and it pulls all the ideas that are related to the keywords that you're tracking. So that blue box that I've highlighted, when you click on that in the tool, it lists off all of these keyword ideas that are related to the keywords you're tracking, and it lets you export them into a CSV. So you can literally click on each competitor, backsign, and then basically you can even qualify it before you save it down to where are we ranking for those keywords, what's the search volume like, etc. Because it's a paid tool, it makes it super easy by you can click on start tracking. And as I mentioned before, you've got a tracking research group that you can put all these ideas in, or you can export them into a CSV. So this is, again, competitor research is so important because there's all these existing ideas that you can just pull. And because you've got specific competitors, the main goal is to appear ahead of them as well, and grab that that real estate above the fold in Google. So this is really helpful, and it's something we use quite a lot. Another good tool, again, going back to Ahrefs, is again the Keyword Explorer. So I believe it's called Page Explorer. So you basically paste in a URL of a landing page that you want to optimize, or you can put in a competitor's landing page and see what keywords they are appearing for. So again, it gives you search volumes, cost per click, what ranking position they are in for that keyword, and you can basically export that list. And it's very, you can even do it by different regions as well, and broad match as well. So there's a lot of filter options on this as well. As a paid tool, it's really powerful. Save your ideas. Yep. This is more for me, really, I think. I lose quite a lot of stuff by not saving. And then the final stage of this little research bit anyway is usually like, okay, so you've done all the easy ways of collecting keywords, and then now you've got to basically have a real good think, have a look at your brief again, and anything that you've missed in your research, basically fill some gaps. So if you think, oh, you need more keywords basically before you validate all of this, have a think basically. Manually search for keywords in Google. This is how I do it. And I basically look at the results. So that's an e-commerce example. So I'm looking at, shopping ads as well. So I'm literally scrolling through those different shopping ads and finding different keyword variations of LED 4K TVs. I know that I need 50-inch TVs as a subtopic, as I mentioned in my brief. So I'm scrolling through the ideas, going to Argos, Curry's comment, finding all the different bits of pages that are optimized and even in the search results, and using keywords everywhere again. And basically manually just having a think about what kind of keywords I think are related to this. And I list it all off in a notepad or an Excel file. So I'm basically listing off ideas off the top, whether I'm using tools or not, just based on the brief. And you'd be surprised at how many ideas you might miss out from just using tools. So I recommend not skipping this step and just having a proper think. Or if you can chat directly with a client who knows the topic inside and out, they'll give you some really great insight. One of our clients has a knowledgeable sales team, and they know the topics inside and out. So I'm always harassing them for different ideas, like what kind of things do people mention, what are people searching for within the system, on the site, website search, etc. So that's really good insight as well. So we've done all that research using tools. So we've defined a brief, used tools, done some manual research, done some competitor research, and now the final stage is basically validating keywords. So before you can validate these keywords, if you use a bunch of free tools, most of them don't provide you with search volume data. So basically the average amount of people searching for those keywords. So I'm going to suggest some free ways and some paid ways to get that data, because basically with the validation, that's a good indicator of how valuable the keyword is. So how many people are searching for that keyword, right? And then you want to find some kind of difficulty score metric. And in most of the paid tools, they do have a difficulty score as a metric, or if they don't have that, and if it's a free tool, it'll be like cost per click. To basically gauge how competitive this term is: higher cost per click, higher competition. And then you want to have a look at, where do I currently rank for these keywords? So you've got a list of keywords that are super relevant you want to rank for. You might discover that 20% of them you're already ranking on page 1 or even in the top 5. So you can make a little note against them keywords in a spreadsheet to say these will require less work to optimize because I've already got content behind these keywords, and they can focus on the other keywords that you need to get into the top 10 for. So those are the 3 things I'm using to validate keywords. So in order to gather that data initially, I'm going to go back to these couple of free tools. So keyword ideas within AdWords, it'll give you search volumes data. So that's not an up-to-date slide now because it changed overnight. So that'll look a bit different now. But yeah, that's basically a good, and that's a primary way I use to get search volumes if I'm not using a paid tool. Another tool that I discovered was searchvolume.io. Basically gives you search volumes. Don't believe there's a limit on the amount of keywords you can search for at the moment, but I might be wrong. But this looks pretty good, and it lets you export into an Excel the keywords by search volume. So that's your first metric covered. And the second metric, which is CPC, is covered from AdWords tool on the right there. In this example, I've gone back to SEO Monitor, which is a tool we've been using for going on 5 years. Really helpful tool. And this basically gives me everything I need. This isn't an advert, it's just what I use, but you've also got it in Moz and SEMrush as well. And it basically, for here, it's giving me my search volumes, where I'm ranking currently for these keywords, CPC, and even a difficulty score there. So all of these are hard difficulty. So in this example, I might say, right, because these are all hard, maybe I want to do a bit more research, or maybe it's just because I have no content on the site at all that relates to these topics, because that's what this difficulty score is based on. It's based on, have you got enough content matching these keywords, and how high is the competition in the top 10? Based on them 2 things.
In this case, Sukh, you just chucked in some random keywords for the Anicca site. So obviously Anicca's not going to be found for dog hoodies or a 4D TV. So if this was your own site, we'd expect key phrases that relate to you, and then the position would be the rank here, which is just along from the search volume. You'd expect there to be a mix of ranks, and of course, if you're already ranking, then you're not going to have, it's not going to be a hard, it's going to be a low or a medium. So that sort of, this is just all hard because it's absolutely irrelevant to the Anicca site.
Yeah, I mean, we typically see this kind of example when it's a brand new website and where we've done a technical audit that says there's thin content across the site or empty content, empty pages. So that's usually
we are nearly at 10 o'clock as well, Sukh. So I think you've got a couple more slides, and then I think it's mainly my what's next slides, isn't it? So
yeah. I was so good in the last seminar. I think this one I've just like meandered on these quite dense slides. But yeah, so that's basically the validation process. So you're looking for, and what I missed out was relevancy as well. So you've got a list of keywords. So you look at, first off, again, are these relevant to what I'm looking for? Refer to your brief again. Search volumes, are there decent search volumes? And typically I look at average search volume of 100 plus. So average 100 people search for this keyword. But it's not, if it's got 10 search volume and it's a niche topic, then I would still consider that. And search volume is just an estimate. So that search volume of 10 might be 50 or 40 or something. Low competition, so you want to validate by that. And then if you end up at the end of all this qualification, you don't end up with that many keywords, then you just basically got to repeat the steps again and go back to step 1 or step 2, which is a research stage. So I have to do that quite often myself as well. And then step 4 is basically you've got your validated list of keywords. So you're building a page plan. So I don't want to go over a bit. Sorry, guys. We'll go into this a bit more in another seminar. But you're basically using that data and you're mapping them to relevant pages. So you find informational keywords, best 4K TVs for gaming. That's more appropriate for a blog post or some kind of supporting content piece. So in that page plan, I've got a section for supporting content. And I basically listed those kind of 2 keywords I found are questions. And then the rest of them, which have an intent of a transactional purpose, I've basically listed them against the landing page I want to rank for. So 4K LED TVs. The keyword is 50-inch 4K TVs, 4K TVs for sale, etc. They've got decent search volume. I'm not ranking for them. Difficulty score is medium from the SEO Monitor tool. And those are the CPCs, which I think are a bit quite acceptable. So this is how you kind of map them once you've found your keywords onto the landing pages you want to optimize for. And this will help inform content writers as well when they're producing blogs and stuff. They can refer to these keywords we're optimizing and include them in their blog posts and link back to your service pages. So this is really key step. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, so I've got a question from Fiona. Before I put the offers up, she said, is there a free site to get the current rankings from? Because obviously we use SEO Monitor because it works for us because we can do groups of key phrases. But I mean, there's quite a lot of free tools out there if you do a search. And have you got one that you'd recommend, Sukh, off the top of your head?
Yeah, just trying to go.
I don't think it was in any of the ones. Did you have it in any of ours?
Yeah, really drawing a blank on that. If you can ping me an email.
Yes, if I put I'll put Sukh's email in here. Sukh is also offering free hour consultancy for anybody that's interested in any aspect of SEO. Also, we also can do demos explaining how SEO Monitor works and how we use it, which I think is really helpful. I just wanted to bring one of the offers up. I know a few people have already left, so I just quickly bring this. So the first offer we've got is free access to all our training and resources. And this is on academy.anicca.co.uk. So if you press the free access button, it will open a new browser and you'll get taken over to academy.anicca.co.uk, and where you can also go and sign up. And you'll see it's also pinned top right here. In addition to that, we're offering the free consultancy. You can just fill in the form on the Anicca site, or if you want to message Sukh, we can do that. And then the other thing is that we are, as soon as the lockdown starts to lift, we will be starting the 12-day digital marketing course leading to the DMI and the CIM qualifications. So that starts in October. We are going to be streaming that live. So even if you're not based near Leicester and you can't get into the weekly workshops, which are usually held on a Wednesday, you would still be able to take part in that because we've been doing these webinars, we can do that as well. And then finally, just a little bit of a heads up on the next webinar, which is Ed's going to be talking about using Google Tag Manager. And this is about setting up conversion tracking. And it includes things like Facebook Pixel, Google AdWords conversion, analytics tracking, etc. And so that's going to be a little bit of a practical demo. So you're very welcome to join us next week for that. If there's any more questions, if you want to stick them in the chat or email Sukh later, you're very welcome to do that. Otherwise, I'd like to thank Sukh very much for his presentation. You only went over by 2 minutes, Sukh. It's fine. And have a great weekend, everybody. I think we've got some great weather next week coming, so hopefully you can enjoy that. And I look forward to seeing you all next Friday. And I'll send round the recording. It'll probably be after lunch by the time we get it back from the software program. And speak to you later. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye. Bye-bye.